Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the manufacturing process tutorial, assembly and finishing. In this video, we will assemble the part that have been made using welding machine and grinding machine. Before entering the assembly tutorial, we will show you the personal protective equipment must be used on shop floor.
This is the welding machine component that you will use in the assembly process. The first is the power cable, which then has a circuit breaker to regulate the current, then switch on off, clamp massa, and also electrode clamps. The following are the tools used in the welding process. The first is electrode, droppers, welding magnet, hammers, and also iron brass. For welding process, the PPE required includes wear pack to protect the operator body from minor to severe injuries. Welding gloves. These welding gloves serve to protect the operator hands from welding spark. Welding shield. Welding sheet is used to protect the face area when welding from spark and high-like intensity. Shoes are worn to avoid the risk of accident on the feet.
Before starting welding process, the practitioner must first prepare the supporting tools, which include the welding magnet, and then the second is wire brass, and then third is welding hammer, and the last one is the electrodes. Okay, first of all, install the electrode on the electrode holder at an angle of 45 degrees. Okay, and then before doing welding, prepare the top frame and right frame, then attach the two parts based on the alignment. Once they are aligned correctly, attach the welding magnet and ensure that the position of the top frame and right frame is square. Okay, then the welding process, you should first make touch weld at 3 points, the top, middle, and the bottom. Then next for the actual welding, attach the electrode and follow the weld path, then release it. Okay, after that, start the welding process. First attach the grounding clamp to the welding table, then plug in the power supply. Before doing welding, be sure to use personal protective equipment or PPE. For the welding process, the first step is to level the electrode on the metal base provided. Once the electrode is properly ignited, apply it to the workpiece by making tack weld at 3 points, top, middle, and bottom. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. After making the tack weld, do the welding process according to the simulation provided. After that, we can clean off any welding slack with hammer and then ensure that the weld is clean. Use the wire brush. and then doing the same process to the other side. Okay, and then here are the result of welding for the top frame and the right frame.
The following is a hand grinding machine used in the scraping process. The first is switch that is used to turn the hand grinder on and off. Furthermore, there is a protective cover that functions to protect the operator from the splash produced by the hand grinding machine. And the last, there is a grinding stone that serves as scraping tools, and the grinding stone used is type of grinding wheels. The tools used in the cutting process using this hand grinding machine is a vise. For the APD used in the machine, there is first wear pack to protect the operator body from the spark of the hand grinding machine. Second, gloves are used to protect hand while working from spark, electric current, impact, and scratches of sharp or raw objects. Safety glasses to protect the eye from spark and harmful residual material that can interfere with a health. The ear muff is used to reduce the noise produced by the machine. And the last, shoes to avoid accident on the foot and increase the effectiveness of the operator movement during work.
Next, we will do smoothing on the workpiece that has been welded. The first step we have to do is to place the workpiece on the vise. Don't forget to wear PPE. Make sure the power cord is on the back of the operator. Then turn on the hand grinding by sliding the on-off switch. For this way of grinding from welding is that we have to tilt the existing grinding wheel and we have to level it evenly until the result of the welding is flat.
If there are any gaps remaining after the grinding process, the practitioner should fill this gap using tack welding and the hammer, and then re-weld to close the gaps. Okay, next, weld the top frame to the left frame. Follow the setup process as previously instructed. Once welding is complete, don't forget to prick the weld using a welding hammer and clean up the remaining debris with the wire brush. And then do the welding process with the same step.
Next, carry out the smoothing process using a hand grinder as before. and make sure the cable of the grinder is positioned behind the operator. So this is the result of the grinding process. After the welding process of the top frame with right and left is complete, take clamp measurement from the outermost side of the right and left frame using a measuring tape to make a hollow platform using a hollow iron. First, prepare materials in the form of hollow iron and measuring tools including measuring tape, elbow ruler, and scratcher. Take measurement along the result of measuring the length of the outermost right and left frames that have been assembled in previous assembly. Then mark it using scratcher and then help of the elbow ruler. Do the same for hollow platform 1. After finishing the marking, we can cut the hollow part of this platform using a cutting grinding machine. The first step is to place the hollow iron on the workpiece log. Then check first whether the position of the workpiece is in accordance with how to lower the grinding blade. If it is felt that is in accordance with the key to the workpiece lock is correct, the workpiece does not move. Position yourself on the left side of the cutting grinding machine, then make a cut by lifting the grinding blade several times. Do the same for the second hollow platform part. So, the following are the result of cutting using a cutting grinder. Next step is to carry out the filling process using a vise and iron file. The first step is to attach the workpiece to the vise, then lock the workpiece until it is tight. And then do the filling process with unidirectional movements. And then do the same for the second hollow platform. So this is the final result of making hollow platform parts.
Next, assemble the hook to the top frame that has been assembled previously. First, attach the workpiece to the vise, then tighten it until it is strong. Then, attach the hook to the two holes of the top frame. Then, we will use a small welding machine that has been practiced to know the training time. First, attach the small electrode to the electrode clamp. Then, set the voltage in the direction of 60 volts. Start the machine by pressing the switch on button. Then, use the PPE of the welding machine. Perform the welding process by aligning the electrode to the metal base first. Here are the welding results on the hook to the top frame.
Next, carry out the scraping process using a hand grinder. First, place the workpiece into the vise. Make sure that the hand grinder cable is behind the operator. And don't forget to wear PPE. After that, you can do the scraping process by sliding the switch on. Do the same on the second hook. Here are the scraping results on the top frame and hook part.
The next step is to carry out the process of welding the steel base part with the top frame. Step 1. Place the frame on the vise and tighten until the workpiece does not change position. Then, measure the distance for laying the steel base using a measuring tape 75 mm long from the inner hook. Then, mark it with a scratcher. Place the steel base on the mark that has already been made. Then, use the PPE of the welding machine first. Perform welding by first pinning, then welding strike on the right and left side of the steel base part.
After finishing welding, do the scraping using a hand grinder. First, place the workpiece into the vise. Wear PPE to protect the operator. And make sure that the grinding cable is behind the operator, then you can perform scraping. And here is the result of scrapping.
The next step is to assemble the frame that has been made with a hollow platform. First, put the frame to sleep on the work table, then place the hollow platform on the bottom. Next, use a welding magnet to help hold the hollow platform from moving. The next step, we will perform a pinning process to ensure that the hollow platform cannot move. By doing two pins, namely on the left and also on the right. After the pinning process is carried out on the first hollow platform, then do the pinning process on the second hollow platform as well. Make sure to do pinning on the top of the hollow platform as well. After completing the pinning on the upper and lower hollow platform, do a full welding of the upper hollow platform first. After finishing welding, don't forget to beat the weld marks using a hammer and clean the remaining weld using a welding brush.
Next, the practitioner performs scraping on the hollow part of the upper platform that has been welded. Make sure to use PPE to protect the operator. Then, you can perform the scraping as in the previous step and make sure the cutting grinding cable is behind the operator. And finally, here are the results of scraping using a hand grinder.
Then, after finishing scraping the hollow part of the upper platform, do welding for the hollow part of the lower platform. Make sure to use PPE. And don't forget to beat the weld marks using a hammer and clean the remaining weld using a welding brush.
After finishing welding on the hollow part of the lower platform, perform the scraping process with the same steps and methods as before. Perform scraping as in the previous step and make sure that the hand grinding cable is behind the operator. Here are the results of scraping using a hand grinder.
The next step is to assemble the steel mat parts and also the steel rod using a welding machine. Perform the setup as follows. First, lock the steel rod on the vise. Then insert the steel mat hole in the steel rod that has been made. Make sure the steel mat has a cavity to fill from the electrode. Perform welding as usual with a pincer first. This is done that the workpiece can no longer move. After pinching, weld by filling the center using an electrode. Beat the weld marks using a welding hammer and clean the remaining weld using a welding brush. If the welding process still has holes, it is necessary to weld until everything is tightly and perfectly filled.
Next, we will scrap the part that has been welded using a grinding machine in the same way. If the result of scraping still has a hole in the part, do the rewelding process and then do the re-scraping process. The following are the results of the scraping of the steel mat and steel rod parts.
The next step is to assemble the steel mat barrier parts with the steel mat. First, clamp the clamping pliers to the vise until they are firm. Then, clamp the steel mat with the steel mat barrier using clamping pliers until tight. Then do a 3-pinning using a small electrode until the workpiece does not change position. Solve the pinning result using a dropper. Then, to do strike welding, change the electrode to a large electrode. And change the ampere to 80 to 100. After that, do a full weld from one side to the other.
After completing the welding process, scrap the previously welded part. First, attach the workpiece to the vise. Then use PPE to protect the operator. Make sure that the power cable is behind the operator and perform scraping by sliding the switch on. Do welding and scraping for the other steel mat barrier.
Before doing the finishing process or painting process, what must be done is to remove dirt on the parts that have been assembled by using a hand grinder wire wheel brush. The process is done in the same way as the grinding wheel hand grinder. But when using from a grinder with a wire wheel brush, it should not always be pressed but only pass. Okay, we just do the grinding process.
Next is the finishing process. In the finishing process, we will paint the parts that have been made before. For the painting process, we use a tool in the form of a brush, then a pinch pliers, a wire, and the paint itself. First, open the paint lid, then stir the paint first with the wire. Next, you can paint evenly for all parts that have been made. For this painting process, there is no order. The most important thing is to paint evenly. And after everything is finished painting, wait a few minutes until the paint is all dry. After waiting for the paint to dry, the last step is to assemble all hydraulic press parts. First of all, prepare all the parts that have been completed. Starting from the frame, both couplers, steel mat that has been assembled, there is a steel guard, there are nuts and bolts, there are springs, there's a 3D mold, and finally there's a hydraulic. Okay, for the first assembly process, we will assemble the coupler with a steel guard using nuts and bolts. Perform assembly with the placement and direction of parts like this. Insert the nut through the steel guard and the coupler until it comes out again on the steel guard on the other side. After the nut is in, we immediately put the bolt on, install the bolt until it feels tight. After installing the first coupler with the steel guards, insert the part into the frame. Then you can perform the assembly with the same process and steps for the second coupler. Next, after installing the two couplers and the steel guard, we can attach the spring to the upper hook and the lower hook on both sides. Next, attach the steel rod and the steel mat that have been assembled to the inside here and position the part to the center. Next, attach the mold first to the hydraulic press. Then place the hydraulic press into the steel mat and the steel barrier sections. And now, here's the final result of the assembly process of hydraulic press products. And for how to use it, the operator can raise and lower the hydraulic as follows.
That's all for manufacturing process tutorial for assembly and finishing. We hope that you can follow this tutorial smoothly. Thank you for watching and see you at Lab Siman.